Now, let's get into flying if you already have a concussion injury. There was a study done looking at NHL players, so National Hockey League players, professional hockey players, that had a concussion during a game that while they were on the road, or where they flew within 6 hours of the injury. So you get concussed in a game. Often teams will fly to the next place they're going the night after that game. So they'll have a game, the game's ending at 10 p.m. They'll get on the plane, they'll be out of there and flying by 11:30, 12 at night, and they'll be off to the next location that they're going to. So this particular study that was done a number of years ago looked at NHL players who flew within 6 hours of being concussed. And what they found was players that flew within 6 hours of being concussed missed on average 30% more games than players who didn't have to fly after their concussion injury. So potentially in the very acute stages after concussion, there could be some sort of harmful effect of air travel. This is very acute, and this is a unique population. Not many people are flying 6 hours after getting concussed, unless you're playing professional sports. A more recent study looked at NCAA athletes. This was in 2019, published in October. There hasn't yet been a full publication of this particular study. This was presented at the 2019 Sport Concussion Conference, and it was published in the journal Neurology. And the author's name is Sharma. Sharma and colleagues compared 165 college athletes who flew within a mean of 31.8 hours after their concussion. So a little bit longer than the NHL study, but not that much longer. Basically a day and a half was a typical time period. And they compared it to 2,200 athletes who did not fly after their concussion injury. And they found no differences between the groups. So this is also a larger sample size. No difference between the groups on days to return to full play. No difference between the groups on days from injury to starting the return to play initiation, so starting to be able to exercise, no difference there. No difference in the duration of concussion symptoms, so how long they experience concussion symptoms, and no difference in the amount of time it took them to return back to full school participation. So basically, no difference, and there was no difference depending on how long the flight was. So even if they were traversing multiple time zones, it still didn't make a difference between those who flew and those that didn't fly. So although the NHL study shows that in the very acute stages there might be an increase in time loss, this study shows that even after a day and a half, that basically has been diminished down to nothing. All right? So their conclusion was airplane travel early after concussion did not significantly affect recovery or severity of concussion symptoms in college athletes or cadets. Further studies are needed to investigate possible effects of flying more acutely after injury. So again, calling for more research to study earlier flying after concussion injury.